And in this networking field, we always find these pretty amazing men and women. Today, I'm joined by a powerhouse of a woman by the name of Bianca. Bianca, how's it going?
It's going so well. Happy to be here. Grateful for you and just staying blessed.
Mm-hmm. So for the first time, audience members of the Mitchell Portland's podcast, who's Bianca?
I am a person who wants to help as many people as I can. And I think that's my life mission and goal. And I think that sums me up as a person. Professionally, I am a vice president and senior program manager at a Fortune 50 company. And I also am a CEO and co-founder of a nonprofit, which I'm excited to share more about. And I'm on the board of two other nonprofits, which I'm also really excited about. And as a person, I just want to be as uplifting and caring as I can to others. So that sums me up.
No, for sure. So because I'm in Canada here and I hear Fortune 500, now you're saying Fortune 50. What's the difference about the who you're attached to and things like that?
Well, Fortune 500, I could have said that, but I feel like Fortune 50 kind of just, we used to be Fortune 30, so that was cooler to say, but we moved down so, after the pandemic. But what's the relevance in saying that? I guess it's also information shared that you work for a company that is a public company, which has a little bit more credibility to it. But you're totally right. There was no need to say that.
No, it's because I hear so many different, Fortune, on social media and things like that. And I think us Canadians we're kind of like, what is that? Fortune this, Fortune that.
It's the Fortune.
Piece it together.
Yeah, it's Fortune's list of like whatever they deem to be the top 500 companies globally. And it changes depending on revenue for the year, etc.
Absolutely. So you're all about capturing stories and things like that. And I feel like this is how this collaboration has been long overdue. And I'm actually happy that we're here today. How do you find and capture the most authentic people that you tend to network with or work with and things like that?
I think that it is determined by the first bits of conversation. Not that anyone should be judged by the first impression always, but there are certain tells for me that determine someone to be inauthentic in a way that doesn't align with me. Because being a genuine person to who you are, it could mean anything. You could be a genuinely malicious person. You could be genuinely someone who's very upfront about how transactional they are as a business person. But to me, it's someone that aligns with my values and what I enjoy to be authentic in others. So if someone is very keen on being egotistical and bragging about themselves, and that's how they introduce themselves to you and don't care to know more about you, it's about them, I would say that I would kind of mark that off as someone who's inauthentic. So to answer your question, I believe that it's determining for me the boxes that are checked if they're inauthentic more than anything. And we've talked about this before, Rory, but I feel like honestly, to me, there are less people who are genuinely, in my opinion, good. Because genuine, as I mentioned, can be anything. But to me, someone who's genuinely aligned with my morals and someone who I believe to be genuinely good, I think that they're really hard to come by. So for me, it's kind of like checking the boxes in the conversation initially to determine, okay, are they transactional? Do they want something from me? Are they, being sarcastic to me in a way that they're trying to hurt me or tear me down in our first interaction? There's a lot. So.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I feel like with the ever so social media and networking and emails, it's all over the place. We speak a little bit about Clubhouse now, and that's where I discovered you. That's where I discovered the stories, the authentic side of you, who you are as a person. And I feel like it's hard to come by. I even see that in podcasting. You know, there's been times where you have conversations with certain people, and sometimes they aren't the best conversations because you know that there's a hidden agenda that's there. And I'm not throwing any shade at the last year. Like the last year has been pretty amazing. Some pretty influential social media figures, things like that. But I talk more about my earlier years, is getting my feet wet and not really noticing and understanding what conversations in the space would look like, because it was either give or take, and then all this other stuff, you know? And ever since I really anchored down, I set the intention in the space, I was like, you know what? I got to be very mindful of the company that I keep, you know, because you get it. You know, there's some people that they just want to get into your network for whatever reason. So when you're thinking about networking and speaking and things like that, right? What is one thing that you can automatically point out from somebody that doesn't make them that authentic? You know, is it tone? Is it speech? Is it just mannerisms? I know, like we're talking face to face, remote here, but you know, probably from more of like a voice standpoint.
Hmm. It's everything. It's so much at once. Oh man, it's the introduction, like everything. It could be someone who's so smiley and so enthusiastic that, and then they start off with like, I'm so and so company, and I'm doing all these things, blah 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 blah. Um, that I can be like, whoa, that's a little bit disingenuous. That's fake. Like, what? Why are they throwing so much energy at me, and why are they talking about what they're doing? Clearly, there's a business intention here. Or if someone's like too, they call it love bombing in like psychology terms, which if you're not familiar with the term, it just basically could be a sign of someone who's going to give you narcissistic abuse or emotional or verbal abuse, where they send you so much love and gifts and tell you how much they care about you, and basically like kissing the ground you like walk on, in an intention to be disingenuous afterwards or manipulate. So I think when someone's trying to manipulate me, sometimes they start out with like a compliment in a way that seems disingenuous. And my favorite, actually, I can give an example of something that I had to stop someone and tell them, we need to park it like on the way you're going to interact with me going forward. So setting boundaries. But they just kept sending me messages of this like yacht masterclass they were going on, and shared with me the link to get a ticket, or it was always selling me something, and always like, but the intention of selling is that I will buy their service, whether it's like them as a speaker in this case. I think it was like thousands of dollars this person wanted me to pay just to see them speak on a yacht for some kind of masterclass conference they were putting together.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped them and said, hey, if you want to get to know me, or you would like to like have normal conversation, that'd be awesome. I really appreciate that, because I'm not really interested in being sold something. So let me know. And that person kind of jokes with me to this day about how I challenge them to be like more down to earth in a way, to like talk to people, because like, even if you're trying to sell someone something, I mean, at least you can kind of gather where there's like a give and take, where you should get to know someone, at least pretend they're small talk before you start pitching them stuff. And so that was a great example for me of someone that like, yeah, they were really nice. They might be a really great person. They might be genuinely awesome if you take away the fact that they're trying to get something from you and sell you these products and make themselves look to this pedestal that they want you to like buy their services and think that they're so great you need to pay thousands to see them speak. So that's an example for me of a disingenuous encounter, and it doesn't necessarily mean that person is not a good person subjectively. It just means that there are people in my life that I just want to hang around me or have a conversation with that are just there to be a human and just vibe, not sell
Hmm.
me something.
No, totally, and I agree. We, one of the things about you, and I wanted to even capture this today in podcasting and knowing about your story and things like that, is bullying, right? And how important that is to you and the things you've been through. Speak to the audience about what you had to deal with in bullying and how you overcame it.
Okay, this is exciting to talk about. The first open ended time I can really share. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. But my story is more emotionally, verbally, and cyberbullying related.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't been physically assaulted from a bullying perspective, so I just want to make that clear. But I went to private Catholic school since age 3 to 17, and that's relevant information for the sake of sometimes how young girls in that kind of environment thrive and act. And it reminds me a lot about how Mean Girls interactions were in the movie and the Broadway play. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was the story of my entire childhood. So um, there's not that many people in a school to know, like you can't have privacy. Everybody knows your story. Everybody knows like who your parents are, who your brothers and sisters are. There's definitely a lack of diversity. There's a lot there that even in the culture, you have a lot of wealthier families and those children of wealthier families that act a certain way. I have certain privileges that others don't. And they just, all of that broods into this really weird culture. So to give that preface, since I was little, like I remember being 5 years old and having these girls who I thought were my best friends, like throw chicken tenders at me in the cafeteria. And I remember to this day, someone like I know her still, but like this group of girls being like, "Hey, do you want to like sit with us?" And like that was the start to our whole friendship. Um, because these other girls were throwing chicken tenders at my face at in the cafeteria. Um, and so that is probably the start. And there's a lot of abandonment of friendships. Like it was always stories, rumors that you can't even set the story straight. So, you know, Bianca did this, XYZ, and then like you get another girl on your side to think that about Bianca, and then it's true. And I might not even know that these conversations are happening about me. There's no way to set it straight. There's no way to even understand whether, like, if there was accountability on my end to like fix something or whatever it was. And that stems from early childhood. So transitioning into my cyberbullying story when I was 17 years old, there's a lot to delve into. So, to keep it as short as I can, it was a Facebook incident. So, all of this is cyberbullying related, but I had a best friend since middle school who I thought was my best friend, who I had found out after some time, right before this Facebook incident, wasn't my real friend. She had spread a lot of rumors behind my back in ways that she was telling me she was my best friend. And I had another girl stop me one day and tell me, "I can't believe and I can't take this anymore that you think this person's your friend because they've said this and they talk about you every day at the lunch table and this is what they said." And I knew that this person like really wanted to deny the fact that they weren't my real friends to me because when this random girl told me my best friend had all this stuff to say about me, I kind of texted my best friend and was like, "Hey, like I just heard this. Like what's going on?" Um, I was with that other girl at the time, and the best friend of mine had texted this other girl being like, "Why'd you tell Bianca?" And I never told my best friend who had told me that this best friend was saying stuff about me. So the fact that she knew who to go to, who would tell me? And the fact that she was angry that I knew that she was talking all this bad stuff about me. And now that I found out, it really hurt. I felt like that was a terrible moment. Um, and so that storyline is relevant to the cyberbullying incident, because all those rumors that that best friend of mine had spread had been in lunch tables and cycles and conversations for a year that I had no idea about. And in this year of all of this rumors being spread, I was in the hospital for something. This friend was talking about me and me being in the hospital and using it as like a springboard to say really horrible stuff about me that I didn't know about. And I was really depressed as a result. Like, an ex had dumped me. I lost this best friend. I was sick to my stomach and would like pretend to be sick to my mom that I didn't want to go to school, in ways that I had so many sick days that I had piled up. Come into this Facebook incident, this one girl just lays it on me in a Facebook status that wasn't even about me. She starts writing like, I heard you did this, XYZ, at least I don't this. Really bad stuff. And I just kept answering this girl on Facebook like, why are you doing this to me? Like, do you want to meet up and talk? And at the time, Facebook is relevant in this because there was a ticker. So at the top right corner on Facebook, you could see what everyone was typing or commenting or liking, statuses, pictures, every single millisecond. So the reason why this incident spread so largely and widespread across Florida is because everybody was like looking at what everyone was doing in all these schools, and the networks of children in different high schools were like overlapping. So eventually the status became super liked. That wasn't about me, but all the comments underneath the status were this girl attacking me. And as a result of that, there was like one girl from another school who sent me this giant message about a trigger on taking one's own life, trigger warning, but had told me that a friend of hers had been bullied, and the last week. So like they were telling me last week, my best friend took their own life. I just want you to know that someone out there loves you. And kind of wrote this whole thing about like how they saw what these girls were writing to me and that they thought it was awful. And that their friend had been bullied. And in that moment, I kind of got like taken aback, because I, in that moment, wasn't necessarily depressed like I was the year before. I was 17. I kind of had like a badass attitude at the time. I'm very proud of myself for having it, but I just kind of took it like, so what? But in a different point in my life, even just a year before, if you took me and put me in that situation, I don't know what would have happened. So it made me sad. And I remember that night when all of it happened, I thought to myself, I want to be a spokesman to help other children deal with this one day. And I promised myself I would do it somehow. And I just remember, like, to close the story, I came to school the next day, and the school was an outdoor, like, high school. It was connected by outdoor hallways. So like, imagine this Florida high school. We've got palm trees in the front. Everybody gathers in the front of the school to start the day before they go into class. And it was a slow clap for me, a sarcastic clap that I made it to school that day. And it was everyone. And it was like, they were laughing at me like they thought it was funny that I had been like torn apart on social media the night before. And it was like, it's kind of surreal to think about that situation now, especially when I run into high school people in my life. Like, if you're associated with any of those private Catholic schools, or the private schools even that were in the circle of network of that specific school I went to, I have post-traumatic stress.
Mm-hmm.
So as we've talked about, this affects me to this day. Abandonment, like friendship abandonment issues, like assuming the worst of people, dealing with like the thoughts of why people don't like me. Is it my fault? And all of these thoughts, like, it still haunts me to this day. And of course, I'm going through therapy to like figure it all out and how it applies to my life now. But that's the story.
Yeah. So what comes up for me is, you know, the overcoming part, and you're here to talk about it today. And I feel like a secondary question is I feel like cyberbullying is at an all-time high because it's in trolling, in a form of trolling now for social media and Instagram and things like that. What is one thing you can speak to either men or women, more specifically women, that go through these type of things? We see it on certain women's TikToks. We see it on Instagrams. They make a post, maybe a health and fitness post, and there's that internet troll. There's that bug, that tick that says, "Oh, you look too manly. Oh, you're this and you're that." What would you speak to the audience there that are listening that may have a friend or a family member that is experiencing this, and how can they overcome it from your personal eyes?
Well, it's not easy to go through, and my heart goes out to all those people who deal with it. I was just reading Doja Cat's story yesterday. She just decided, if you look at her Twitter, that like she lost it on her fans of people that were hurting her, to the point where she said she's leaving social media. So Doja Cat is a star, a celebrity, gorgeous, seems like she's got it all. And if you can put her in a category of someone that is bullied to the highest extent on social media, and you are a young girl or a woman, um, who has an everyday life like the rest of us, and you can go through that as well, like, I hope you know you're not alone. And you have to think about the bully as someone you should feel almost sorry for, because, and not, you can't put the bully on a pedestal that they are right or that they are better than you or they're all knowing. What they really are is a much weaker kind of person, because what kind of person takes the time out of their day to go hurt someone else and tear them down for fun? You have to have a miserable life if you want to make others as miserable as you. And once you can take that bully and take them in your head and like rip them apart to be a small-minded individual, then it won't hurt you as much. Um, when you're getting tons of hate all at once, it's really, really hard to put that into perspective. And sometimes children might not even be equipped to tell their parents or adults or other people or even their friends what's going on. So that is really terrible, because once you feel alone, that's when it sits in, and that's when like something really bad can happen. Um, so I think that people should have some kind of support system in their lives, which isn't always the case, especially as a child. Like, I really hope that guidance counselors at schools could be better for children, in which children feel comfortable to go to. I hope that someone at home can like provide support to those children, or an adult. I would hope that there's therapy that can be offered to people, but it's not free. In the United States, like, there's a lot there that is a great support system as a result, or even a preventative measure that would be really great. Not everyone has that though. So just know you're not alone. Don't care what other people think about you. It's all about what you think about you. You're the only person listening to your own voice in your head on the daily. And as much as we love our family members or our friends or whoever's closest to us, our mentors, they are not there for you every single millisecond of the day. You are there for yourself, and you have to figure out how to uplift yourself or live with yourself or overcome your insecurities or your hardships, because you're the only one that can get yourself out of that every single step of the day. And if you think you're awesome, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're striving for your goals, or whatever it is that you find to be successful, or achieving goals, or feeling beautiful internally, that's all that matters. And once you have that little like I would say like a shield around you, like a shield bubble that you think you're awesome, no one can penetrate that and touch you. So you can have a bully telling you you're ugly, you're stupid, XYZ, and it shouldn't affect you. It won't even touch you. It'll just like beam right off because you have your own self love, but most of all, self acceptance. So you can't take what these people are saying and let it get to you. Because when you let it get to you is when it all goes downhill from there.
And you start to unravel. And I love that you said everything that you said. You know, I look at us as we're people of influence, especially, you know, Instagram, Twitter, wherever major platform you use. And I always say is every time you get to that level of success, not necessarily maybe the bullying, but the trolling starts. You know, you speak real. People try to undermine you, to take little pop shots here and there at you. And in my personal belief, what I do is just ignore it. And I try to ignore it. And so many people are like, well, what's going to happen when you get all these followers and this and that? That's going to come. But what I remember is that there's always that block button. I can block it up my space. It's a little hard when it's like big, massive forms. And I always say is to add a little humor to this is anytime they start sound clipping me or they start posting me on Reddit, guess what? Mama, dad, I made it. You know what I mean? Because they're spending all that time. And I say is if you're capturing and you're recapping everything it is that I'm saying, you're lost in your own self. You're lost in your own sauce. And because you may not be able to do the things or maybe look the way that I'm looking or how Bianca's looking, you have to deal with that. This is how life is. And bullies, and I'll speak to this out here. If any people that are listening to this, audience members and things, if you have people around you that are trolls and bullies and you're enabling them, you need to really check that also too, because you're basically an accomplice to that and you're supporting their bad behavior. You know what I mean? And things like that. And I just feel like the more that we keep growing in this internet digital age, the more it's just going to keep on happening, you know, and there's not really a way to stop it. We can just try to block it out, you know, block out the noise and things like that.
That's facts. And I have a friend who I spoke with this week to add on to what you were saying, who has really interesting perspective on where haters are coming from, especially those who you actually have known in your life, whether it's from high school, childhood, through work or whatever. His name is Jacob, so I just want to give Jacob credit for this, but he just sat me down and had this like really profound thought. He's so philosophical, but he told me that the way that they see it in their mind is that they're disappointed in terms of success. If they see you achieving things, they're disappointed in themselves for not putting in the extra work to get to where they see you. Because to them, you might not be too smart to like outshine them. You might not be as or too talented, but you put in the extra work to be there. And you are a reminder to them that they didn't put in that extra work to get to XYZ place you are. If they're not at that level, or they feel like they're not at the level that they think you are, and they really want to tear you down, but they're really just angry, upset, and resentful that you are a constant reminder of what they could have been if they had done whatever it is that they think would have gotten them to your level. Because they might recognize that you are talented or whatever, but I mean, in reality, like you don't have to be the smartest person in the world to be very successful. Not every multi-billionaire is the most intellectual person, but they sure as hell know how to work with very intellectual people and get stuff done. They know how to work really hard and execute those goals even when they want to give up. So sometimes people who are hating on you for what they see as your success, they are just really trying to like talk to themselves and make themselves feel better that they're not there, or they're not even achieving their own goals that they set out to for whatever circumstances that happen in their life.
No, absolutely. You're not dealing with any bullying right now currently, are you?
Bullying?
Or the internet trolls?
Internet trolls. I deal with weird stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think I talked to you about this once, but what really gets me, and I hate that I'm putting this out there because hopefully someone's not using this to turn it on me, but what really gets me is when you have friends, like those are the haters that really affect me. If you don't know me and you're hating or you're writing weird messages to me, like, tough, I don't know you. It's not going to get to me. Like, you literally don't know me. So why would I take what you have to say to heart? I always am slighted by the people who try to get really close to me and tear me down. And people are very creative, like narcissistic abusers or emotionally abusive people are very clever. They'll latch onto you, they'll maybe even talk you up, and then they have those moments where they want to make you feel inferior, or they want to make themselves feel better, or they're just using you as a tool in their life to get ahead or to make themselves feel better about themselves because they have this like successful or whatever they find to be attractive in life person around them. And then they get to tear them down, and it makes them feel so powerful to take someone here and make them feel like they're there so low. And those people really affect me, and they are constantly infiltrating my life. But I would say as of a month ago, I found a way where I'm just saying no. I cut a lot of them out, and I am very protective right now of my space, my mental health, who I allow in my personal circle of friends, because I have the best friends in the world. They could maybe go on a handful, maybe even almost two hands, like how many I have.
Mm.
And they are loyal. They have my back. They're there for me. They know my weaknesses. They know that I can deal with depression sometimes, and they're willing to like let me have my space. They are the most incredible people, and I don't need more of that. So there's no need to have someone come into my life as a perfect stranger and come get all my secrets, tell the world like all my downfalls, or use things against me, manipulate me, lie about me. That's not conducive to my life, and I can't have it, or my mental health will suffer more, or my productivity levels will suffer, my job will suffer. Those people get to me, man. Like it's all about the people infiltrating your life to be your fake friends that are really what get me.
You speak it so well. That's why I say this all the time in my inner circle group, and there's like a small group of us. I can't be bothered with people that are not here on the right mission, because there's only a small percentage that I'm going to take on the journey with me. And if you're with me, you got to be with me through the highs and the lows, the wins and the losses. I always say this. Don't just get close to me to knock on the door to think I'm going to open a little crack and you're going to be like, I wonder what Rory's got going on there. I wonder what episode he's going to release. Who's he talking to? Who's he doing this? Like, I'm always connecting with somebody. You know what I mean? And what I love about this space of just networking and collaboration and podcasting, the niche market that we're in, it's all surrounded by credible people. You know what I mean? People that are doing some pretty, I don't want to say dope shit, but I guess it's their dope shit, inspiring
Hell
shit. That's,
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's making you go like, yo, like this is amazing. Like I want to make it to a point where I do this podcast and like I get past guests if different cities. You know what I mean? I know people are listening like, he's going to travel different cities. Yeah. I want to do it where we're sitting in big halls, big events, big venues, and having these conversations to a whole entire audience. You know what I mean? Because that's a collaboration. That's the people that you tag with. You know what I mean? And create a superpower. However many people in this world, Bianca, there's what, 7.6, 7 point some odd billion people in this world. We're a part of that 1% that are trying to do better. You know what I mean? So it's doable.
I'm trying my best. I
Mm-hmm.
really.
No, I
But
feel you.
I mean, I think that's all that matters, right? If you're trying, if you're striving, if you think
Mm-hmm.
you've arrived, you don't want to try anymore. So, but yeah, that's a great perspective. And I love that you
Yeah.
can even capture me in that category of kind of person. I'm honored for you to even think so. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, and I say this again, and I'll even double back on this, is that app Clubhouse. So when it was on and popping. And now it's kind of like it's hum ha, and I'm in and I'm out those places now. But there was times where, you know, you're talking as the main moderator, and I'm listening to some of the conversations, and what drawn me to your story was just how real you are. I don't want to say authentic because I feel like that's an overblown now word, but how just how real you are. You know what I mean? And I know there's so much of that. There's a lot more of that that's there. You know, that's what's getting you into, and I'll hype you up here, the magazines, you know, the articles, you know, social media. You're interacting with the right people. You're doing Twitter spaces. Like my audience that are listening to this right here, like literally, like hit that follow button, get on Twitter, get on Twitter spaces. I don't know if she's using Clubhouse anymore. You know what I mean? Because that's starting to look like an urban legend now, you know, but, you're doing some pretty amazing work. And I feel like a lot of younger women that are growing up in this world need role models, positive role models like yourself to help lead. And you are the staple of that. You know what I mean? So I'll definitely give you your flowers there.
You're gonna make me cry. I'm tearing up. I hit
Oh, don't
home.
worry about it, man.
No, but
Yeah.
when you
Mm-hmm.
what did it was like the statement that I could be a role model to younger women or other women. That's all I've ever wanted to be in my life, and to even have you say like and put that into perspective for me that I can at this point in my life, at this adult stage, I can give back to help, especially other women. Like, I can't wait to do that. That's all I've ever wanted to do in my life. So,
No, definitely.
it
And you're
means
going
a
to.
lot.
Yeah. So let's get into some nitty gritty stuff. Let's get into some productivity. Work life balance. How important is that? Because I feel like I've got a work life balance. I do have a 9 to 5, and it's like doing the podcasting thing. People are like, "Oh, how do you do all this work?" I figure it out 3 to 5 hours a day. You know what I mean? But how do you balance your work life balance?
Okay, well, I don't think there's a perfect formula, and I'm pretty sure experts also say there's nothing perfect about a formula. Um, you have to find out what in your life should be prioritized and what means the most to you, and then pick that on a priority list of how you're going to sit there and prioritize in your day that aspect of your life that will fit with work. So, in my opinion, it's a constant struggle, and there needs to be some kind of list, whether it's a sticky note or it's your notepad on your phone, your iPhone, whatever it is, that you write your top list of priorities for the day in terms of work and in life, to make sure you get that done, because you can constantly reprioritize. Like, if something at the end of the day needs to go on the back burner of what you thought was important for work, for a personal life matter, you need to figure out how to constantly reprioritize. I think the key is being self-aware and striving towards that balance, because the people who get so lost in work, they always have a story on how their life faded away, their family, their marriages, their children's lives, um, their friendships, their hobbies, getting healthy, like going to the gym, that took a back burner. There's a lot there that people who are just so wrapped up in work and don't care about a balance, like they have to work towards later on. Sometimes marriages are just broken, and that's their fault. Um, friendships. I've heard someone say to me yesterday, actually, that because they were working so hard and XYZ point in their life, like there's friends that they lost along the way that they feel bad about. And I'm like, why don't you go repair that friend? Why don't you go back? And they're like, it's too late now. Like, it's not worth it right now. And just like the thought of you losing friends because you didn't prioritize them or even give them a second thought as someone in your priority list of the week or the month or the year, like, that's so sad to me. And family, it depends on your family life. I mean, I'm not about like considering family to this gold standard. If they harm you, you need to be there for them. But like, you know, a lot of people have family that have strong bonds. Even whatever family member it might be, it doesn't have to be your parents, your child, it could be your aunt, your grandma. But like putting family first too, like, that means so much, because at least in the good relationships of family households, but they're always going to be there for you, and friends come and go. They have no obligation to you. But I speak for the families that obviously have good relationships with you, because I'm not all about sticking on to bad, unhealthy relationships. But you need to constantly think, what's taking a back burner today? Let me fix that. It's always a chase. Like this friendship, like may think that they're not being prioritized right now. I got to go fix that. And then like your work might get like on the back burner. Like you have to go help a family member. You have to go visit a family member in the hospital, and you have to like forget about work for the day, take a mental health day. There's all these things that need to come first, but there's no perfect formula. It's a constant day by day reassessment and readjustment. And the only time you lose when you are working towards this work-life balance structure is when you decide that you don't care anymore. If you don't want balance, you won't get it. So it's a constant battle to try and help yourself, help your own life, so that you can stay mentally healthy and in balance, in my
Well
opinion.
said. Well said. Well said. So, with the work life balance, how do we celebrate in the work life balance those wins? You would say those small incremental wins that lead to major breakthroughs, major successes, and things like that.
I think that you need to celebrate the wins along the way, no matter how big or small you think they are. Because if you don't, you will never be happy. You'll always be chasing a higher level of success. Compare yourself to the goals you thought you had for yourself in a year or 5 years, and forget to celebrate the achievements you're winning along the way. So I recommend practicing some sort of gratitude for your achievements to your goals. And I don't just mean you have an accolade, like you won a trophy or your boss gave you a promotion, and like celebrate that. I mean like anything that you're achieving a goal in. Like if you set yourself out to make a doctor's appointment that you'd been putting in the back burner, and you know your health comes first, and you just schedule that appointment, like be appreciative you did that thing. And be appreciative when you're told that you did a great job on a project at work, regardless if it comes from your manager or not. Like you need to uplift yourself to keep going. I need to work on this more. I'm always thinking about how this achievement isn't enough because I want to be here. And this means nothing to me until I'm here. And that is a really unhealthy mindset to get at. It makes you lose sight of yourself and your priorities and your happiness of your life in that moment. So it's so important to celebrate yourself. Say the things that you're grateful for that you have. If you have a 6-figure salary and you're trying to get to that 7 figures, be grateful for that 6-figure salary. Like you are a very small percentage of the world that can even get there. So like love yourself for that. You made it there. Multi-millions is really awesome and all, but that millions isn't going to make you happier if you're not happy here. So that's how I think of it.
I love that you say that too. Well said. With I speak a little bit about the articles and things like that. You know, bringing it back to social media, bringing it back to work-life balance and small wins and all this. How do you want your loved ones to celebrate you when you're hitting these strides, these milestones, and things like that? And yeah.
Well, I think of random quotes from Gary Vaynerchuk,
Mm-hmm.
Gary V, when he says, like, once you start taking in the accolades and start like getting an ego, that's when you've lost. I'm misquoting him. He has different arrangements of his thought process on this matter, but like you're not. There's other personal growth people that talk about how you're not supposed to like celebrate too much, where you're like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm the man, because then you lose sight of the things you have to keep accomplishing. So in terms of what I want my family to do, they don't need to say like, congrats, I'm proud of you, or good job, or whatever. I just need them to be there for me in general. Like, if you're my friend, I don't need you to say congratulations to some magazine I was featured in. I want you to be my best friend, and that's it. That's all I need from you. If you want to uplift me along our friendship, that's more important to me than you remembering to say congrats, and congrats on your promotion, congrats on your raise, whatever. Congrats on your podcast feature, congrats on your magazine thing. I mean, there's been times where like my best friend was dealing with a crisis and she forgot it was like my birthday. And another time, like I sent her my magazine feature. She like couldn't even grasp what I was sending her because someone was in the hospital and she was taking care of that. And when I found that out, I was like, oh, big deal. Like, I don't care. As long as you're my best friend, that's all that matters to me in the world. So celebrate me by being a friend or being a caring individual, a mentor, a family member. That's all I care about.
Love that you say that too. Humble, humble. You know, I'm the same way. Like so many people, you're out there and so many people are like, oh, you had this person on your podcast. You interviewed that person. I'm like, yeah. And I keep it moving. Because it's not about that. It's just like, did you listen to the show? If you listen to the show, what did you take from the show? Right?
Exactly.
It's not that it's about business mind, but like I get that. Like I know what it is I'm doing here. You know, it's a self-development podcast. It's an overcoming adversity podcast. It's to highlight key influencers and people of interest, you know? So you listen to the episode, you like the episode, you rate the episode, and you do what you want to do, you know, and you keep it moving. Yeah.
I like that you say that when people talk about this XYZ celebrity you meet or these things that people hold to a high pedestal. It's not about that. It really isn't. Um, Sometimes the most famous, wealthiest people who are like celebrities in the world who are most revered, like don't have to be the best kind of person. Maybe they weren't even that great to meet in some circumstances where people think it's so cool and they want to talk to me about that. It's all about human interaction and just being a genuinely good human. Like, you don't need to be a celebrity to fulfill that check mark and make people feel good that you've met them. Like, so that's interesting you say that. It's all about
Mm-hmm.
the meaning of things too. Like, did they listen to this part in your podcast with this XYZ celebrity, and or did they just see that name and think it's cool and want to congratulate you for that? So
Yeah. Yeah. So speak about the organization, the nonprofit organization it is. Yeah. Speak about the nonprofit organization and what do you want people to understand about it? And what do you see happening in 2022 for it and beyond?
So, Roadblock Foundation is an anti cyberbullying nonprofit built to raise awareness and also to help those overcome being cyberbullied, or to help prevent and detect measures, which is a more complicated process and that will come with time. Right now, we're focusing on creating school programs, specific kinds that I don't want to give too much away right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's all about doing more than talking about it, right? So I'm
Yeah.
getting there. Um, and partnering with universities and sociology departments and education departments and psychology departments to get those programs really like scientifically backed, research based, and with experts there to help implement these programs, but like shape them into a way that actually is meaningful and makes sense. So,
Love that you say that.
and it seems like it's a saturated market where you think it would be. Anti-bullying nonprofits exist everywhere. There's a couple other anti-cyberbullying nonprofits that exist, but nobody's doing the work in person, going into these schools or like going in and doing things. It seems like it's very like campaign based, getting celebrities to put t-shirts on and say that they're against bullying, and saying that you're, as a school, a part of a movement to be against bullying by signing your name on the paper. Like, it's what I'm trying to do does not exist in the world yet. And so it's going to take a very long journey to get there, but I will not stop until I've accomplished at least a piece of helping at least one child. And it'll start with one child and hopefully it gets to lots of children. And as far as the raising awareness piece, that goes across all generations. I'm starting with children because I think that they have minds that can be shaped earlier on and can hopefully change the course of their entire life. Because hurt people, and that's a cyclical pattern. Hopefully a step of like helping them with their bullying experience or being the bullier will help them in the rest of their life to come and the people that they interact with in the future. So raising awareness across all generations is helpful. Like, a piece of what we're trying to do too is interview public figures, whether you're an influencer like Jake Hunter was that I just interviewed on the nonprofit's Instagram page that I will be repurposing content for. It could be any celebrity. I'm going to start having those kinds of guests to talk about how they've had horrible experiences happen to them, so people feel less alone when it does happen. And I feel like there was one question that you hit on, like, how is bullying happening nowadays because it's becoming more prevalent? I didn't get to address this part. And this is why it matters to children, why children are so important to me, because there's new technology, there's new features, there's new social media platforms that keep coming up. There's Discord now, TikTok and Instagram. You can have anonymous accounts with all of them. So let's say there's a child who's being targeted by another child. That malicious child, in their state of mind at the time, can send multiple messages from multiple different anonymous accounts. And that other child that's being bullied can think it's 25 people telling them to go hurt themselves or something horrible, or that they're stupid, they're ugly, all these things. And it's really just one person. But that psychological effect of thinking that 25 people like want to see you do horrible things to yourself, or just that think you're ugly, you're going to start believing that you're ugly and that maybe you should not be on this earth anymore. And as a child, I hope that anyone who's listening can understand that that is horrible. That is detrimental, traumatic for the rest of their life to come. I think people can relate more to physical assault and physical bullying when they think of how that can affect people to come. It does have a larger chain that could also influence that person to grow up and be another physical abuser. But emotional abuse and like mental health can be so impactful, and it can change the course of someone's life to overcome a depression that they wouldn't have otherwise. So I just really want to help children at the early stages, because there's so many new tactics that you can create anonymously to make a child think and have the appearance that so many bulliers are in effect when it's just one person or one comment. There's multiple that can happen. And so I worry about children for that reason.
Well, I always get to this stage of the podcast where I say, just let moments like that breathe. And why I say that is because I just want it to sink in for the audience and everybody that's listening. You know, and one thing about you is you have found your space, you found your calling, and know that anything that I can do on my side, what I can do here from Canada, let me know, and I got you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
you're awesome.
Because I feel like, we need a lot more thoughtful leaders in this world to really talk about these things, because as bad, as crazy, not bad, but as crazy as it sounds, like the kids are going to be the ones that are going to change a lot of what you see going on today. You know, that's from anything.
Exactly.
That's from diversity and inclusion. That's from bullying, you know, because they're caught up in this digital age. Me and you both have been in the digital age, but they're growing up into the digital age.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the thing, you know, like I know when growing up for me, social media was MSN and Yahoo Messenger and ICQ and things like that. And now it's the growth of it. These kids that are coming out now are seeing the Snapchat, the TikTok, the Facebook, the Instagram. It's evolved. It's changed. We've lived in the constant change of it. So just got to keep on going and keep fighting that fight.
It's true. And I will try to fight the fight as long as I can fight it. Hopefully I'll have the strength with everything in my life to keep going on and continue. But thank you so much for featuring me and for offering even to be helpful and supportive. I appreciate you. I'm very grateful that you're a genuinely good person, and through all of the social media platforms, through the one that we connected to, like, I'm really grateful that we met there and that you have featured me here and want to continue to keep conversations going on and how we can help each other align with our goals. Yeah. So,
and just know, I don't say this a lot to a lot of people. Anytime you want to be on this platform, you got any ideas, it's open, right? It's open. Some people would say, it's dollars need to make sense. No, it's open, right? Because I see the essential value when it comes down to how people are collecting stories and where they want to broaden the impact and spectrum.
Well, bless you. Thank you for recognizing that for people.
No, absolutely. So where can everybody check you out? A couple of your articles that are out there and things like that they can read. And the nonprofit organization, again, where can everybody check all that stuff out?
Okay, so the nonprofit I've shared about, the anti-cyberbullying one, is called Roadblock Foundation. Roadblock is one word. You can find it on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and many others to come. And as far as me, you can just search my full name, Bianca Peynado, and I should come up on a lot of the platforms. So I don't think that I have any hidden usernames, but yeah, you can find me by looking me up. And the nonprofit and I were recently featured in Women in Business magazine, and there was a feature just for the nonprofit and the work and bringing awareness to cyberbullying in LA Weekly, which was exciting. So that's how you can read about what we're doing. But mostly, if you want to get in contact with me on how I can help you, that is the kind of reaching out I would love from people. So.
Absolutely. And I'll do you even a favor too. I'll do you even a bonus. In the show prep notes, everybody, I'll make sure I'll tag all those links, all that good stuff. And then it's just right at your fingertips, beginning, end, during. You just highlight it, click you to a next page, and then you're there. All right. Bianca, keep being that grade A class individual. Keep it going.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate you.